Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Today. So we have plenty of things to talk about as far as news updates are concerned that you may have missed out on whilst you were actually catching up on some all important sleep. Because how it is with the world of sport, never really rests. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it and let's talk about something that was dominating the discourse as far as the IPL was concerned for a lot of the time. It was the second half of last season, whether or not Ravindra Jadeja would remain a Chennai Super Kings player. It seemed unlikely after a point because he was made captain. It was a poor run of form. The captaincy was stripped from him, given back to MS Dhoni. And what happened later on was that he had actually left the team midway through around the second half of the season. So because he had actually picked up an injury. Now, because of that, there were plenty of talks that maybe the injury wasn't as bad, and maybe this was actually the end of Jadeja in a CSK shirt. However, now you've been seeing plenty of images and videos that CSK's social media handles have been sharing of Jadeja in and around the camp. Looks like a happy camp, but it apparently required some behind the scenes talks featuring not only Jadeja and MSD but also CEO Kashi Vishwanathan. All of them had to actually sit down and have a frank chat over what it is that they felt went wrong and hash out their issues. For Jadeja's part, there was two things that he didn't like. One was the fact that the captaincy was taken away from him. The other was, of course, the fact that his form hadn't been the best. Dhoni reportedly told him that, look, your form probably suffered because you were struggling with captaincy, and Jadeja was reportedly open and receptive to hearing that, and that's why he was okay relinquishing the captaincy, and or he was later on okay with relinquishing the captaincy and coming back to CSK, but just as a player. So an interesting news report has of course emerged, and it does actually shed some light in that regard over what it is that CSK and Jadeja had to do to ensure that the happy relationship you're seeing now actually remained that way, because there were some doubts. Yeah, I think even on my part as well as others, we all believe that CSK and Jadeja, it's done. You may very well see Jadeja in the auction pool. That didn't happen. Still very much a key part of the CSK team. There are some injury updates we also have with regards to the IPL, and it doesn't really look good because it does seem like this is going to be an IPL where there's going to be quite a few key players out injured. You already have no Jasprit Bumrah, no Rishabh Pant, no Shreyas Iyer as of yet. Then also you've heard reports of course, Mohsin Khan and Mukesh Chaudhary. We'll get to him in just a bit. But first, Royal Challengers Bangalore are currently sweating over the availability or lack thereof of Rajat Patidar. Now, you remember that Patidar towards the fag end of last year's campaign, found some form, was very key for them in the middle order. In fact, he even scored a century in the eliminator that helped them win that particular match. And he's been in fine form even in the domestic season. Unfortunately, though, he is nursing a heel injury and currently recuperating at the NCA, and there doesn't seem to be that much clarity yet as to when exactly he would be available. Remember, RCB's first match is going to be taking place on April 2, and it will be taking place against the Mumbai Indians. So it does seem unlikely as things stand that he will in fact be available for that match, which could be a bit of a blow for RCB because he was really key for them in the middle order. They don't really have a replacement who's like for like, so that could be a bit of a concern for them. Also, as I said, we were going to talk about Mukesh Chaudhary. Now, Kashi Vishwanathan, the CEO of CSK, has in fact told a news outlet. He said that we are waiting on Mukesh's fitness updates, but we do not have much hope. He was one of our bowling mainstays last year. Will be unfortunate if he misses out. Based on what it is that Kashi Vishwanath is saying here, it doesn't really seem very likely that Mukesh will be there, because as he says, we do not have much hope, and that'll be a bit of a blow for, of course, CSK, because remember, Mukesh last year towards the initial parts of the season was struggling a bit. Then later on, he really picked up some steam. He was putting in some very good performances, but if they don't have him, then it is a bit of an unfortunate thing. Also unfortunate that he won't be able to bowl in tandem with someone like Deepak Chahar, but that just seems to be the way things are right now as far as injuries are. IPL seems to be, at least the early stages of it, will be blighted by a few niggles here or there. Now, switching our focus from the world of cricket to the world of football, Spain ended up beating Norway 3-0 in a Euro 2024 qualifying match, and it saw the debut of a certain striker by the name of Joselu, who English Premier League fans would remember for spells at Stoke City as well as Newcastle, where he didn't really set the world on fire. But on his debut, he scored a brace, helped Spain, win 3-0, and they're currently, top of Group A alongside Scotland, who also registered a 3-0 win of their own against Cyprus. So interesting times really as far as the qualifiers are concerned. A lot of the big teams are doing really, really well. So you could very well be set for, a little bit more fun action of international football before, of course, the real fun of league club football resumes next week. Sticking to football news, and it does seem like the takeover of Manchester United, which at one point seemed all but done and dusted, and as far as it actually happening, is back on again because Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, who's of course the Qatar, Sheikh, who's who had put in a bid for Manchester United, is reportedly looking to put in an improved bid for the club. That also follows up news that Jim Radcliffe, who's of course CEO of Ineos, the petrochemicals company, as well as a Finnish businessman by the name of Thomas Zalakis, have also put in, improved bids. In fact, Zalakis' bid is pretty interesting one because he's apparently put in a 50% bid and he wants fans to own 50% of the club thereafter. He wants about 50% of the shares up for fans. We'll be doing a video on that, so keep an eye out because it's pretty interesting there as to what it is this could mean for Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in world football. Now, speaking of Manchester, but moving on to the bluer side of it, Manchester City are reportedly keen to keep Erling Haaland at Manchester for as long as they can because after the very impressive start to the season that he's had this year, of course, there are a lot of clubs who are circling, and particularly the bigger clubs in places like Spain. So he's been linked to the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona for a while, and apparently City want to give him a new and improved contract to ensure that interest, for the time being at least, is staved off. Don't forget, I think in 2 years' time, there will be a release clause that kicks in for Haaland, that, he could very well be moving to another club. But for the time being, at least, they seem to be wanting to keep him for as long as possible. So that is why there is talk of a new contract. Now, switching our focus from the world of football, there's quite a few other sporting interesting news that we have. And former three-time Formula One world champion Nelson Piquet has in fact been fined £780,000 by a Brazilian court because the reason being, of course, that he was caught up in a bit of a scandal last year where footage had emerged of him being pretty racist towards Lewis Hamilton, and unfortunately that was something that he got kind of caught up in that scandal. And what happened thereafter was that he was taken to court, and the judge actually awarded that fine in the hope, I said that, so that as a society we can someday be free from the pernicious acts that are racism and homophobia. Pretty interesting thing, for his part, PK, it is worth noting, has apologized, said he was misinterpreted, but I don't think there was much room for interpretation there. What he said was pretty obvious. Switching our focus now, talking about tennis news, the Miami Open is taking place right now, and a lot of the top seeds are dropping out of it like flies. Dan Evans, who's currently ranked 23 in the world, he's been out. He lost to Lorenzo Sonego. Not just him, Alex de Minaur, Matteo Berrettini, Coco Gauff have all exited the tournament. So it does seem like it's going to be missing some star power towards the latter stages because remember, a lot of these matches are second round matches. So it's very early in the tournament. A lot of these guys would have actually gotten buys to be playing in the tournament in the first place, but they are out. When I say buys, they would have gotten buy through the first round and they're out in the second round. Pretty unfortunate, but hey, that's how it is with elite level tennis. So, sticking to racket sports, but talking about the world of badminton, the Indian pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty have made it to the finals of the Swiss Open Super 300. They won an absolute thriller of a semi-final match and have now essentially guaranteed themselves, at least a silver medal in this particular event. Would of course be hoping that they can win it, but they will be facing a very dominant pair of the Chinese duo Ren Zhangyu and Tan Kuyang. Now, both of them, who are known affectionately as Ren Tan of China, are not an easy pair to beat, but you should very well be hoping that Satvik and Chirag, who've won plenty of laurels for India, will do so again come the final of the Swiss Open Super 300. And that's it from us on this edition of the morning update or morning wrap from Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, if you enjoy our work over here at Sports Today, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and don't forget to download the SportsTech app as well. Also, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've uploaded. For now, though, from my side, goodbye, but stay tuned. We have plenty coming through the day.